Hey Sugar Cups, hope you all doing well. Enjoy! Jungkook, babe, come have breakfast, shouted from the kitchen. Wine, okay, coming. Wine went to the dining table and sat on her chair. Wine, wow, Jungkook pancakes, my favorite. Jungkook chuckled. Wine, who'll say you are the most feared Mafia? She spoke, munching on her food while giggling. Jungkook smiled at her. Jungkook, only for you, baby girl. And both continued eating while chit-chatting. Jungkook got done and stood up from his chair. Wine stood up, took his coat off, and put it on him. She fixed his coat. Her eyes fell on his eyes, who was staring deep in her soul. He grabbed her waist and pulled her closer. He brushed his nose with hers and spoke. You are my most treasured possession. He caressed her waist and kissed her. Wine's cheek turned crimson red. He pulled away, chuckled over her red cheeks, and again brushed his nose with hers. Jungkook, okay, take care, I'll be leaving. He again kissed her cheek and left where Wine was a blushing mess. When she realized he was smiling like an idiot, she smacked her head lightly and said, Pablo. She spoke and took the dishes to the kitchen because she was also done. There are maids, but still Wine does house chores. She's so sensitive and down to earth. She helps maids in house chores despite being the queen of this household. Wine is a generous lady because she has been through a hard time and she knows how little things affect people. Wine was an orphan and worked hard but could not continue her studies. She was working as a maid under a rich man's mansion. She didn't like the job because the owner was not a nice man. He always tries to touch her and harass her. She couldn't do anything because she needed the job. She was 20 back then. She needs to pay for her rent and other things as well. One day, like always, she was working, dusting the living room. She bent down to dust the lower shelf. She was dusting and felt a hand on her cakes. She immediately stood straight. She kept her face down. The man extended his hand to grab hers, but Wine immediately backed off. Honor. Oh, come on, Wine. You're so beautiful. I would love to witness you to me. Wine. Sir, what are you talking about? Honor. Wine, look at you, a pure goddess. He pulled her closer by her waist harshly. Wine tried to push him, but he picked her on his shoulder like a rag doll and took her to his room. He threw her on the bed harshly and hovered over her. He started kissing her forcefully and started marking her neck. Wine was a complete crying mess. She was continuously pleading him to stop, but he didn't and started marking her. He ripped her shirt from the top, exposing her delicate shoulder, and he was going towards her shoulder, but a hard punch caused him to groan, and he was lying on the floor. Wine crawled back and sat in the corner, hugging her knees, crying silently. On the other hand, the man was being beaten up by a tall man, and there were more men in his back, looking like bodyguards. His aura was screaming power, but Wine was so humiliated that she was crying inconsolably. Hanging her head low, the tall man stood straight. He took his gun out. Wine let out a shriek, but covered her mouth immediately. He looked at her and asked his man to take him out. He came near her. Wine was so scared she started backing off, even though there was no space. She was crying, her eyes were red, her lips were bleeding, hair was messy, her neck had some fresh marks, and her dress was torn. She looked so vulnerable, but yet so fascinating. Jungkook immediately took off his coat and put it on her to cover her. Wine was shocked. She looked up to see an ethereal man with a lovely smile. His beautiful smile was so enchanting that she got lost in it. She came out of her world when he extended his hand to her, which she accepted hesitantly. She was giving her hand in his hand when she saw his bodyguard taking the man she worked for. Once again, the fear ran through her body. She started breathing heavily. She started having a panic attack and fell unconscious, but Jungkook caught her before she hit the cold floor. JK's POV. I was about to shoot my enemy when my eyes fell on a scared figure. She was looking at my gun with those beautiful innocent eyes. The fear was evident on her face. Her dress was also torn. I understood the situation and went to her. Her messy hair covering her face, I took my coat off and gave it to her to make her feel my warmth. This was the point where she looked into my eyes, and I can swear I can look at those beautiful eyes which were brown, but I'm not sure. The light brown mixed with some green outer ring was dark brown. The gold dust and orange color mixed perfectly. Those ethereal eyes took me out of my dark world instantly and caught me off guard. My eyes fell on her lips, which were swollen and bleeding. Anger rushed through my veins, but the tear that made its way down her cheek made me control my anger, and I extended my hand to her. She was about to put her hand in mine when she saw my enemy and started breathing heavily while shivering. I panicked, but then she closed her eyes before she fell. I caught her and took her to my house. The doctor treated her and told me that she had a panic attack, which made my blood boil. Meanwhile, my man brought her full information. I checked everything and got to know everything. I then went to my basement, where he was tied up. The room was dark. Jungkook turned the lights on, and there was a man tied up, a light right above his head. His man also came and surrounded every corner. He came near him, he looked at him, and tried to free himself, but he couldn't, as he was tied on the chair. Jungkook, well, 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 look who's there, he spoke, standing in front of him. Enemy, I will not spare you. A grin crept on Jungkook's lips and spoke. Jungkook, let's play a game. See my gun? I will take all the bullets out and except one, and I will give you the same gun with one bullet in it. You pull the trigger once, then I will pull the trigger once. Jungkook put one bullet in his gun and asked his man to untie him and threw the gun at him. He caught it. There, Jungkook pulled the trigger, which was empty. Jungkook, oh, lucky you, but not always. He pulled the trigger, but his gun was also empty on that bullet. More trials went like that. The fear started rising in his enemy. He started sweating. It was Jungkook's sixth turn, which was giving the surety to his death because all the 5 shots were empty. His enemy panicked and started pulling the trigger continuously, only to find out that his gun never contains a bullet. It was all empty. Jungkook laughed and spoke. Jungkook, well, only if you have played fair, I would have forgiven you. He took out his other gun, gold in color. Even his gun screamed his power, and he pressed the trigger. The bullet went straight in his enemy's head, causing him to take his leave from the world on the very spot. Jungkook came near to his lifeless body. He looked at it and spoke. Jungkook, you hurted her and tried to do your filthy things with her. You made her cry, and that's what you deserved. You deserved it because you didn't use your powers correctly. Jungkook went away to his room where wine was. His man cleaned the mess that he created. He stepped inside his room. The maids were leaving after changing her clothes. He went near her, who was looking none less than a sleeping beauty. Jungkook, you're doing things to me, smiles, and I'm liking it. Wine woke up the next morning having a headache. She groaned, feeling her head heavy. Her eyes fell on the room, which was full of luxuries, and she was on a king-sized bed. Her eyes fell on the couch, where a figure was sleeping like a baby. A smile crept on her face. He was too adorable. She came out of her trance when he spoke in his deep, husky morning voice. Jungkook, it's not nice to stare at someone while they are asleep. Jungkook spoke, opening his eyes. Wine immediately hung her head low, where her cheeks flushed pink. Jungkook stood up and sat near her. Jungkook, how are you feeling? Wine, good, she spoke, looking down. Jungkook, Look at me when I talk to you, Kim Wyan. Wyan looked at him shocked at how he knew her name. Jungkook just chuckled. Jungkook, I know everything about you, Wyan. Wyan in mind. Oh, great. He can read my mind too. Wyan, how? Jungkook, I have my ways. Wyan, There was an awkward silence when Wyan started to cry, remembering the scene. Jungkook, hey, hey, why are you crying? Wyan, he forced me, but you saved me. I don't like it at all. She started to cry, hiding her face in her hands. Jungkook hesitantly embraced her, and to his surprise, Wyan accepted his console. She cried on his shoulder. For the very first time, she felt the warmth of someone, and the feeling of being secured was so amazing to her. She lived there with Jungkook for a few days. Jungkook gave her a separate room for her privacy. She decided to move out since she can't trouble Jungkook anymore. Jungkook asked her to stay. When she asked why, he simply asked her to be his caretaker in the house. Wine agreed since she needed money to live. Soon she took admission in a university because Jungkook pays her enough. Plus, he knew her dream was to graduate with honor. Wine completed her studies. Wine and Jungkook became good friends. Jungkook always adores her. Wine also adores him, but she was shy to confess him. One night, when he came badly injured, Wine confessed her feelings for him. Jungkook welcomed her into his life. She graduated when she was 24 and got married right after completing her studies. It's been almost 7 months to their marriage. Now, Jungkook is always gentle to her. He never tried to be rough on her in any matter. When both had their first time, he was gentle as possible, and Wine loves how he put her comfort first. He does cheeky things. He cuddles with her on the weekends, on the couch, in the living room. Even Jungkook's own man sometimes couldn't believe how he's so soft only for his wife. Both love each other greatly. Jungkook sometimes make breakfast in the morning as well. He comes early at night for her. He scolds her when she is being clumsy, then cuddles her for scolding her. He always stays with her through thick or thin. The same goes with Ryan. When he feels low, she just hugs him tightly and runs her fingers through his locks. That's all she could do because she is shy. Today is one of the days she is feeling needy, but she has to wait till night. It was already 8 in the night, but he was not home. Usually he is home by 7, but he messaged her. Something came up, so he will be late. But does he know his cute wife is eagerly waiting for him because she is feeling something tingling? Actually, she was sitting on the couch watching K dramas. All the maids already left, so she was watching K drama to kill some time. But she didn't know that this thing would lead her to a situation like this. There came up a steamy scene, and she couldn't help but watch it with her big doe eyes, but and ended up being all needy. Now every second is like a torture. Sitting on the couch, she rubbed her thighs together, gulping down the orange juice. She's turned on, but will she able to tell her husband that she wants him? Just then the door opened, revealing Jungkook, but he was talking on the phone. He paused a smile to Wyan and sat on the couch next to Wyan, talking on the phone. Wyan stood up and brought a glass of water for him. He gulped down the water and again on the phone. It's been 30 minutes now, but he is still on the phone. Wine is getting pissed now. She wants his attention, but he is on his phone, ignoring her completely. Wine in mind. I swear, if he keep talking on his phone, ignoring me like that, I would throw him from Burj Khalifa. Oh God, please. Wine was talking to herself, and Duncan got up and made his way to his room. Still talking on his phone, Wine scoffed and made a pissed face. She decided to set the table for the dinner. Both had their dinner, but Wine was not eating. She was feeling hot. Jungkook saw that and asked, Jungkook, Wine, are you alright, babe? Wine looked at him, nodding multiple times, not wanting to get caught off guard. Both did their dinner. Wine was doing the dishes when Jungkook hugged her from behind. Putting his chin on her shoulder, he asked, snuggling into her neck. Jungkook, what happened, baby? You didn't eat? Wine didn't say anything. She wiped her hands from the paper towel and placed her cold hands on his hands around her waist. He turned her around, facing her, and cupped her face. Looking into her beautiful eyes, he snuggled in her nape, sniffing her scent, and spoke. Was it love? He spoke on her nape, causing a tingling sensation which made her release a sound. Jungkook immediately looked at her, who turned into a whole tomato. Jungkook put his index under her chin and made her look at him. He questioned her without uttering anything but by raising his one brow. Wine bit her lip in embarrassment. She doesn't know how to tell him that. Jungkook got an idea and decided to tease her. He pulled her closer, leaving no gap between. Princess, tell me. Wine immediately broke the eye contact, but she couldn't control herself when he shifted his voice to her deep, husky one. She looked at him and smashed her lips onto him while clenching on his shirt. Jungkook was taken aback but smacked in between the kiss and responded to her. After a long 5 minute session, they broke the kiss, breathing heavily, but the next thing Wine said made Jungkook shocked. Wine, baby. Jungkook, yes, wine. I want you to do something for me. Jungkook, anything for you, my love, he spoke, caressing her cheek. Wine, I, I want, I don't want you to be gentle on me this time. She spoke in one breath. Jungkook loved her being open to him about what she wants. Jungkook, are you sure, love? Wine nodded, gazing at his lips, and without wasting another second, Jungkook smashed his lips onto her. For the further process, come to my Instagram, link in the description. Hope you all enjoyed. If you do, then hit the like button, subscribe, and comment, and also share. Thank you for watching.